Yes. So this is where we're at. I want a God-fearing man. People, let's get serious. I done bashed y'all in the head with antics long enough. Appreciate you for being here. Glad you're here. So let's get serious. People, do you know what what's that word it's called? Do you know what healthy paranoia is? What's going on, yoga? Do you know what healthy paranoia is? Do you know what healthy paranoia? Healthy paranoia is working hard every day so you can get yourself out of a messed up situation. Or healthy paranoia is when you put yourself in a position where, yeah, yoga said you need it. Very good. You need healthy paranoia. I'm paranoid. I'll be talking to my baby she cakes and she be like, baby, damn. People, I was involved in an accident a couple of weeks back. I was involved in an accident. And I was involved in an accident and went to the gym and my neck was all stiff and everything. And my baby was like, what the fuck are you doing? See, that's why I gotta, and she from St. Louis. So that's why I gotta be there. She said, that's why I gotta be there. And I'm like, baby, you good. You good where you at right now? She says, no, I gotta be fire. You know, they say fire, a little different. I know, I'm gonna catch it. Just give me this. So, healthy paranoia keeps me aligned. People, I have a beautiful life. But do you know, I had somebody say to me, why do you work so hard? Do you work so hard? Because I was driving when they was talking to me. They said, well, why do you work so hard? You're working so hard so you can be on top? And I said, actually, no, I'm working hard so I can stay here. I've been on top 25 years of my life. And even when the other 25 prior, I was on top in my class. People, let me tell you something. I went into the military as a private 12 months later. And 12 months and 15 days later, I was a corporal. I got promoted 3 times in 1 year. These are facts. I went in November. I got promoted May 1st, September 1st, and December 1st. On top is where I like to be. Paranoia keeps me here. It keeps me here. Paranoia keeps me here. You will learn a lot about a person based on what they fear. I don't fear going to jail because I don't do nothing to put myself in a situation. That's why when I did a lot of shows on Republicans and Democrats, a lot of people said, well, Republicans put laws into place that keep you in there, blah, 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 longer than, I'm sorry, I'm not an advocate for long crimes that black people, that's just not my thing, all right? But I'm talking about what us men here, I want a God-fearing man. Once again, let's get serious for a second. I'll continue with the antics in a minute. Trust me, I'm good for it. When you navigate yourself through life with no worries, that is childish. That is childish. A great man by the name of Dave Ramsey said, adults do what's right, kids do what feels good. Do you think it would feel good to walk into a bank and take money? Of course, that's what an adult version would do. Put that in a kid's perspective. A kid, the term is you got caught with your hand in a cookie jar. But that narrative can be explained and used for various versions of you got caught doing wrong. Dave Ramsey liked to say, boy, you really stepped in it. I like that perspective. So let's talk about seriously. Something that I never heard. I never heard a white woman say, I want a God-fearing man. I've never heard that. I've never heard it. People, I was talking to Miss Cakes about this earlier. That's what this came about. I remember a couple of years ago, I met this woman, and I was going I was being interrogated, and the woman said to me after I told her, after she was trying to look for me, saying what she wanted me to say was, I just got out of jail. I'm trying to get back on my feet. I'm doing the hokey pokey and I'm turning myself about. You know, she did not want to hear me raving off who I am as a man. Now I need y'all to follow me. And I appreciate those thumbs up, y'all. Come on, stop fucking with me. What this individual said, you know, out of all the things you said, I didn't hear you for once say you was a God-fearing man. People, I hung up on this bitch. I hung up on that bitch. And y'all know I don't call women the B word, but I hung up on that bitch. Like, come on, are you fucking serious? Like, I'm gonna say, I fear something that I can't see, that if I say I don't like them, nothing to go. Listen, we all, everyone that's living, we are at the mercy of the elements. Gravity, air, cold, hot. Yeah, water, wind. You let a hurricane come and see what your God will do for you. All right? Come on. All right? Walk off a fucking cliff and see how well your God will help you defy gravity. Very well said, Greg. I appreciate that. Greg said diseases and viruses. I forgot about that. Oh, and I'm gonna do something I definitely appreciate that. All right. So if you're navigating yourself through life and you say, I'm God-fearing, and that's the pinnacle of what I fear. So let me tell you what I fear. Once again, I fear not being able to pay my bills. I fear going from 3 BMWs down to 3 Fords. People, I'm gonna tell you something. My master cylinder went out on my 850 a couple of months ago. I paid $1,300 for the master cylinder. And dig this. I had to wait in line for it. I ordered it and it came like 6 weeks later because when they were being made, then I got in line to get mine. So I was on the waiting list for the part. People, I cannot walk into AutoZone and get wiper blade. Right now, my 850 need wiper blades. I've been needing wiper blades for about 3 years. I mean, I can't walk in there. I got to order wiper blades for the car, but I'm like, well, fuck it. I just won't drive the car in the rain. But I'm going to get wiper blades for the car. All right, so just don't look at me as a terrible owner. But I have my fears. I'm not fearing God. I'm not fearing God. I'm not fearing God. The elements in which this body is subjected to are my first fears. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to do that. I appreciate that, Deshaun. Deshaun said, try eBay. My man. I fear, my first fears are immediate threats to this body. My man Abdar, Mr. Rahim said, yo, Chris, why you not talking about Turkey? Sorry. Well, I'm not talking Turkey. Maybe next year. But I'm talking about if I walk outside butt naked in the wintertime, my body is going to be subjected to the elements, and I'm going to get sick. So allow me to give you my perspective on why in the black community, religion seems to be the perspective on how you have either a good life or a bad life. Why is believing in God a good perspective or you ain't nothing? You know why individuals like to subject things according to your belief in God? You know why? You know why? Because God doesn't exist. It's all theories and perspectives and speculations. That's all it is. That's all it is. I'm not saying you are wrong for believing in God. But if you want to navigate yourself through life and rate a man, because this is what our women say, at least in the community you guys call black. If you want to say that a man that has done everything right in life, because we don't go to school under the perspective of all you have to do is fear God and everything else will fall into place. We don't go to school. What we do is we go to school to educate ourselves, to give ourselves a better position on life. That's what we do. We go to school, everybody. You went to school to get a degree, not to be a better believer in God. Now, let us be clear about something. I am not talking about individuals that went to school to get a religious degree. And even that is not. I remember my former co-host, Antoine 50,000 Watts. Bless that dude. Antoine said, and I quote, this is what Antoine said. My former co-host, Antoine 50,000 Watts, said, I know that the Bible is true. And the reason how I know that the Bible is true, because Antoine 50,000 Watts said, this is what he said. This is what he said, y'all. This is what he said. Antoine 50,000 Watts said, I locked myself into a room for 1 year and I read the Bible. Because he did that, he knows for a fact that the Bible is real. The reason why me and 50,000 couldn't do a show together no more is because I had to be smart enough. Let me go left for a second. The reason why me and Antoine 50,000 Watts couldn't do a show together no more is because Antoine wasn't being realistic in his opinions. He had his wife listening on the back end, and it was just practically impossible for a man to be that smart, but then turn around and be that stupid. So let me give you an example of what I mean. Every time I said something, Antoine 50,000 watts rebutted it. No matter how right I was, he rebutted it with a different narrative. But Antoine had got a vasectomy. And when he told me he got a vasectomy, see, people, what I don't do is I don't sit down there and, despite what people think, my baby used to say this to me, you want to be right all the time. And I said, no, that's not quite the truth. But people said that to me a lot. Oh, I want to be right. No, I'm just adamant about what I believe. All right. There's a difference. Because if you ask me about propulsion rockets, I don't know anything about that. My baby was in over 100 Broadway plays and did a couple of movies. I don't know anything about the cameras that they use. I don't know anything about that. So can't ask me about that. All right. But I'm adamant. People like to come into my arena and try to alter my perspective. All right. But Antoine 50,000 watts got a vasectomy. People, how many of you out there would get a vasectomy? Anybody out there listening got one? Okay, any man out there got a vasectomy? Before you be so proud to click on that thing and say, I did, hold up. You do know that when you get your balls cut, you do know it raises your body's estrogen levels. You do know that. Now, when I said this to Antoine 50,000 watts, I said, did you know that when you got a vasectomy, it raised your body's estrogens level? He said, I didn't know that. I thought that was kind of odd for a man to know everything, but don't know that. But just like people believe in God because he don't exist, you know why Antoine 50,000 watts did not know that when you get your balls snipped, it raises your estrogen level? You know why he didn't know that? Because he got it done. And he could not argue the facts. See, he can't put his balls back on the table and say, hey, doc, put me under and then put my balls back together. People have a habit of going into the unknown out of convenience. Let me get back on topic. We're talking about I want a God-fearing man. People, let me tell you something that I noticed about the people that the God-fearing people. God-fearing people are normally, most of the time, the people that lived a reckless life and they ran to God, and now that's what they're selling. I'm gonna tell you about my ex-wife for a second. Not a bad thing. I'm just gonna she divorced the guy now, but it's what the belief. Another belief in the black community as to why God-fearing men are so adequate it is assumed that God-fearing men are the best men because they're going to go into the ways of God. People, I'm gonna tell you something. I know guys that used to lay around with 20 women, guys that did the worst things in the world and then run to God. And guess what? They do the same thing in that arena of women that believe I got a God-fearing man, and long as he's a God-fearing man, he ain't gonna give no other woman his dick. These individuals are under the impression, these individuals have an assumption that this man is his dick is going to be exclusive to her coochie. This is so far from the truth. So I'm going to tell you, my ex-wife had a child at 16, married me at 19. We divorced, and then she got remarried at 26. When she remarried, the guy after me, she married a God man. He was a God man. He was in the church. He was connected with the church. And this was her assumption. Her assumption was I would marry a God-fearing man. And then once you marry a God-fearing man, you have no problems. They're going to abide by God. All of their instincts of a man is shut off. His balls don't twinkle. He's going to look at another woman with a big old booty. And he's going to look at that big old booty. And he just going to only want my booty. Now, my booty ain't that big. But he going to look at a woman with a big booty. And he ain't going to want that woman with that big old booty. He going to want my semi-big booty. And because I got a semi-booty, he only gonna want me because he's like, let me do my dance, do the point. He want a God-fearing, I want a God-fearing man. And he's God-fearing. And then they get to cheering. Y'all know I need help. Y'all know I need help. Oh my gosh. So they get these God-fearing men. And they know that in the black community, if they don't want a thug, the second in line is the God-fearing man. And somewhere around 7th or 8th is a man like me. That's another story. That's why I keep telling Miss Cakes, my fans are going to love you. But another story. But let me back that up. That's why my wife found out the hard way. And I had to tell her. I said, I get why when I was speaking to her, I had to stop speaking to her because she thought she could throw hints at me and we was going to let me do my dance. We was going to rekindle our old relationship. I'm like, no, you had one crack at the kid. I appreciate that. I said I wouldn't call cats your fans. I appreciate that. Very well said. I stand corrected. So she had a baby. Got married, and she was under the impression that marrying a God-fearing man was going to be the answer. Now, I did say this. I would say this. Here's what I would say. There's a lot of individuals out there that want a God-fearing man, and it becomes a lopsided. Right? It becomes lopsided. Because it becomes lopsided, that God-fearing man knows why. Listen, I was telling Miss Cakes today, I said, everybody knows what they mean to everybody. Everybody knows. There isn't a person out there that's dating somebody and don't know what that person means to them. Why they're with them. Everybody out there knows this woman is with me because. This man is with me because. Everybody knows. If you want to claim you don't, this is not the place to get taught. All right? Let me just say that. So I understood why my ex-wife had a baby at 16, married me at 19, and then was 26 years old and married a God-fearing man. It is assumed that when you marry a man of God, you're safe. I'm right where I need to be. I'm good. That did not work out well for her. Unfortunately, she found out that for the first 10 years of their marriage, he was dating someone else. She didn't know it, but they were in the store together, her and her husband. and her daughters ran into the woman, and they called the woman auntie. And the husband and the mistress is standing there like, oh, I didn't ever expect to run into y'all with wifey. I told my ex-wife, if you thought that was an accident, okay. Nonetheless, my ex-wife was standing there looking like the odd man out. This is why this perspective on a God-fearing man is so highly thought after in the community you guys call black. Now, let me tell you something. I've never heard a white woman say, I want a God-fearing man. Never heard it. I've never heard it. I've heard white women, well, you don't have to listen. You can see what they go after. You can see what they go after. They go after college graduates, individuals that's in a career, individuals that's in careers where they can move upward, not just lateral moves. And they're not into that. They're not into that fix a man narrative. Oh, I'm going to get me a man. I'm going to get me a man that I got to fix. I'm going to get a project man, a man that I got to try to steer into the perspective on being a man. They don't deal with individuals like that. They don't deal with experiments. But you would deal with an experiment under the perspective of all he got to do is be God-fearing. You would. I want to be clear about this when I say it. If it is your perspective that you want a man and his requirement is that he has to be God-fearing, he got to be God-fearing. That's your perspective? Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. What if a man doesn't have a job, but he fears God? What if a man, David says, nope, I never heard of a white woman saying such a thing. I haven't neither. I'm 51 years old. I'll be 52 years old next month. I've never heard a white woman say that. So if a woman asks a man that has no intentions or has a career of living off of women, is all that he got to say is, I will fear God, and that is, he gets into the opening gate, is simply a requirement of believing in something that does not exist. All right? Let me be clear about that. I want to be clear about that. God does not exist. You can't go to 155 God Avenue and say, hey, I want to speak to God. That does not exist. Now, do you believe in God? I ain't saying none of that. What I'm saying is, God doesn't exist. Gravity exists. Air, wind, fire, diseases, viruses, they exist. They are here. We are amongst that. Craig also chimed in and said, I've never heard that at all. But I do say they're different. Once again, if you walk yourself a cliff, I like that. Greg said racism exists. Very, very good. Racism. Your body that exists is exposed to those elements. Your belief in what actually exists are two different damn things. They're two different things. So you can go ahead and say, oh, so you don't get that twinkle in your soul and the praise of God. I need God. I woke up this morning and God made me a biscuit. Where did I get that biscuit from? I have a job. I went to Kroger's. I put that biscuit in my cart. I brought that cart home. I took it out of the car. I brought it to the house. I woke up in the morning, and I took that biscuit out the refrigerator and I put it in the damn oven. Not a normal oven. I got a little oyster oven. It cooks very well. It also bakes. It dehydrates. Don't hate. And it just made me a biscuit. God didn't do that, nigga. God ain't do that. You did.